Hey everyone, it's Alex Martinez and Ryan Zomorodi. We're the founders of Real Estate Skills, and today we're covering Virtual Wholesaling Real Estate 101. And this talk today we're going to walk through the process step by step, how to do it, what is it, and also we got a ton of downloadable resources too. So we're going to be displaying those on the screen as they come up. So be sure to grab those and we'll throw those all in the description. But Ryan, let's dive into Virtual Wholesaling Real Estate, man.
Let's do it. It's one of my favorite strategies in real estate, and I think there's going to be a lot of aha moments as we dive into virtual wholesaling.
Yeah. So we've been virtual wholesaling and virtually flipping and virtually buying and holding properties for over 12 years now. And so we love doing all types of real estate, but wholesaling is one of those things that we love doing. It's going to bring us quick capital. You don't need to be licensed to do it. And the cool thing is you can do it from anywhere. You can do it from anywhere, and throughout the years, we were just talking before this, right? We've been virtually wholesaling in different states, but there's a ton of properties we've done in California, in our own county, that we haven't seen as well, right? I mean, that's our goal at the end of the day. Whenever we're wholesaling a property, we don't even want to go to the property, right? We're trying to save our time. We're trying to be efficient. And so these principles that we've been able to use, they not only work for us, but all of our students that we've trained across the nation too.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. And, virtual wholesaling, I think there's a lot of buzz around like what is virtual wholesaling and how to do it. But in reality, the way that, I define it, that we define it, it's basically you're wholesaling real estate without ever actually going to the property, right? Using technology, using software, using just the access that we now have in 2024 and beyond, right? There's so much access that real estate as an old industry has never had. And today we can leverage these tools, we can leverage teams and leverage processes to work smarter, not harder, and never actually visit properties. Whether you're wholesaling contracts, you're fixing and flipping properties, or you're buying and holding rentals. I mean, we've done it all. And a lot of the times we never go to these properties ourselves, right? As the investors, as the business owners. But of course we have teams that go, that help us. Someone usually goes to the property, but it doesn't have to be us. It doesn't have to be you when you're virtual wholesaling.
Yeah. Those good old boots on the ground. We love to leverage them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just smarter. It's a more efficient way. Like Alex said, if you want to scale a wholesaling business, if you want to scale any real estate investing business, you need to be comfortable with the data, with leveraging, again, technology and access to never actually have to go to the properties yourselves. Because if you think about it, the more offers you're sending, the more properties you're pursuing at any given time, the more opportunities you're going to create and the more deals you're closing. So if you're the kind of investor who's running around town looking at properties all the time and trying to inspect every deal, especially before you submit an offer, right? You're not going to be able to offer on a lot of properties. Mm-mm. You're going to have to be running around town and, driving and commuting through traffic all day long. And that's not how you scale a business. That's not how you do a lot of deals. Mm-hmm. So, virtual wholesaling is really a more efficient way to run your business, whether you're buying properties in your own backyard, across town, or if you're buying across the country. So I think today, I'd love to really dive into creating some aha moments for people to not only have access to markets across the country where you can make, 5, 10, 20, over $50,000 per wholesale deal without ever going or stepping foot in the property, but also just running your business smarter so that you can do more deals either locally or at a distance.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you completely. And I mean, just a little over this past month, we've done about $47,000, a little over that, virtually wholesaling in a market we haven't set foot in. We haven't looked at any of those deals in person. So we know a little bit of what we're talking about. We've been doing it for a long time. But let's break down, if anyone's a beginner here, doesn't exactly know what wholesaling real estate is, let's break down what wholesaling real estate is from a high level, and then we can dive into how to do it.
Absolutely. So wholesaling real estate means different things to different people. So there are different strategies to wholesale, but at a high level, wholesaling is essentially finding and controlling opportunities to buy real estate below market value, typically distressed properties. Often you're purchasing from motivated sellers and getting attractive pricing to work for an investment model, such as a fix and flip or a buy and hold for rental income, or perhaps even for development. And you as the wholesaler are controlling these opportunities, but not necessarily executing the entire business model yourself. So you go ahead and you find a different buyer, a different investor to replace yourself on that purchase agreement. And that investor will then pay you for the rights to purchase that investment opportunity because they're looking to make a bigger profit by actually going through with the whole project from start to finish. Again, whether it's a buy, rehab, renovate the property and then sell for a margin, or maybe you're wholesaling to a developer who's going to scrape the whole house and then build some apartments. So it's essentially, finding great real estate and then flipping that real estate to another buyer for a markup. Oftentimes without ever buying the property yourself. That's the assignment of contract method, which we lean into heavily and really is the number one strategy that we teach our students to do, because it doesn't require any money out of pocket, doesn't require a license to perform in most situations. And you can do it if you have mentorship, you can do it with relatively no background in real estate, like we've helped a lot of people do with full-time jobs, really doing it on the side. So, there's the assignment of contract method where you're never actually buying the property. And then there's double closing, which is an amazing strategy as well, where you're actually buying the property maybe for a few hours and then immediately reselling it to the buyer on the same day usually. And so you can line this up in a way that you actually don't have to use any of your money either, but sometimes you will have to bring the money to buy the property to closing, usually using like a transactional lender. Sometimes you can use the end buyer's funds to fund that transaction. Or if you have your own cash, obviously you can use that, but there's closing costs involved with that. There are other strategies as well, right? LLC assignments, which is a way to wholesale real estate without assigning contracts, and again, without having to buy the property. So wholesale real estate is just an amazing way for everyday people and seasoned investors to monetize the opportunities that they're creating in their market, the deals that they're seeing that maybe they don't want to buy themselves, and they want to have a way to monetize the contract to other investors. And again, it's a great way for everyday people to get in and create income through real estate without having to take on the risk of buying a property, without having to have buckets of capital to bring to the closing table, or really to get involved at all. So it's one of the reasons why we talk about wholesaling so much, because it's so accessible for the average person. And especially with virtual wholesaling, it's a way to tap into the entire nation as your marketplace. So what's more exciting than that?
No, I mean, the opportunities are endless. And, as you were talking, right, the first wholesale deals I ever put under contract, I didn't go to the property at all. I was virtually putting them under contract. And for me personally, wholesaling was the thing that got me into real estate. It was the thing that changed my life. And so I'm excited to share it today. So in a nutshell, right, virtual wholesaling real estate, it's just doing it either in your county where you're not even seeing the property, you're not physically going there, or in another state. And we have students doing this in multiple different states, right? We have students in New York doing it in Florida, people in Florida doing it in New Orleans. I mean, all over all these different states. You've one of your biggest deals, your wholesale deals, you're in California and did it in Chicago, Illinois. I love hearing about that one. And so essentially, when we're virtual wholesaling, all we're doing is we're putting a property under contract to buy at one particular price. And these aren't retail properties; these are distressed properties that need fixing up. They're going to go all cash. They're going to go to an investor. Why not you? So we put them under contract and we sell it for a markup where potentially you can get wholesale fees of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less. But it's it's always a win because we're getting paid on a deal that a majority of these deals we put $0 into. So it's all profit at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an amazing strategy. And especially with the access that we have today, right? We do a lot of properties that are listed on the MLS. And I love the website Redfin. I'm sure a lot of you know Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com. Redfin's my favorite just because it's so easy to use, and I just love the user interface. But Like you said, Alex, I've done deals in Illinois, Texas, Florida, Washington, Kansas, just a lot of different states. And I don't have MLS access in all of these states, right? I have relationships in these states, but I'll use Redfin, and anybody here, listening to this can just hop on Redfin today and look at great deals within a matter of moments. And that's just a very exciting opportunity. So now it's like, okay, well, we solved the leads problem. Yeah. So now it's just a matter of sending quality strategic offers and knowing how to analyze a deal, getting a good price and negotiating, and then ultimately having an exit strategy, whether you're going to assign the contract to a cash buyer or you're going to double close to an end buyer, and ultimately how to put that together, which is what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah, and let's just dive into it. So we know we don't need any money to virtually wholesale real estate. You don't need a license to virtually wholesale real estate. If leads are your problem or deals are your problem, there's hundreds of thousands of properties on the market right now that are listed for sale with people that are technically motivated, that you can just start there on Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com. So now we know that. Let's just talk about how to get started, how to virtually wholesale real estate. And let's make it simple. Let's break down these steps. And one philosophy for us that we always like to teach is really begin with the end in mind. Let's work smarter, not harder, right? We get the question all the time, what's a good deal? What's a bad deal? And in some ways, it doesn't matter what we think is a good deal or bad deal. What matters is, what does the end buyer think is a good deal or bad deal? What does the cash buyer, the person who is buying our fix and flip deal or our wholesale deal, what do they consider a good deal? So how about we talk about cash buyers, the importance of finding them first? And I would say this is step one for anyone who's serious about virtually wholesaling real estate. Step one is finding your cash buyers. You don't want to skip over this.
Absolutely. I always like to say that as a wholesaler, you're as good as your cash buyer. So whatever your cash buyer is looking for, whatever their ability to close on a property is, how strong their offers can be, is going to reflect on your offers as a wholesaler. So if you think you can close in 5 days, but your cash buyers can only close in 10 days, then you're not going to have a lot of success wholesaling if you're making offers with a 5-day close. So to your point, Alex, it's so important to find your cash buyers first, so that when you're making these offers, right, we know there's lots of leads out there. When you're making these offers, you want to be able to offer with confidence and with the security that you can close on these properties too, right? Like, you don't want to be the wholesaler going around and making a bunch of offers and not being able to perform on them.
Like 95% of them, 99%
exactly,
of them.
Yeah. We get sent deals all the time where the pricing is literally at the ARV, and there's no spread for an investor. So I don't know where these wholesalers are getting their information from, but so you really want to start with the end in mind, right? You want to reverse engineer the deals that you're going to be looking for. So once you have a very crystal clear criteria from your buyer, that's when you can start making those offers. So the things that we like to ask our buyers include, right, where are you buying properties? What's your ideal deal that you're looking for? Is it a single family house? Are you looking for multifamily? Are you purchasing land to develop? What does that deal look like for you, and what are you looking to buy this coming year, right? Do you have examples of deals that you recently closed on that I can take a look at and see what's the deal that you're actually going to perform on, right? It's one thing to talk about it, but you want to make sure your buyers are actually doing deals, because there's a lot of investors out there, a lot of websites of real estate investors, of home buyers that are other wholesalers too. So you want to confirm that these buyers are in fact closing on these deals. So you definitely want to take the time to vet your buyers. And I think a lot of wholesalers skip this step. I mean, we see this a lot. They'll find a couple of people in a Facebook group, and then they say, hey, I've got my buyers. Great, let's move on. So, for us, what we like to prescribe is you want to make sure a buyer is doing at least 30 deals a year. They're looking to purchase at least 30 properties a year, and they're not looking to make $100,000 per year. I talked to someone yesterday who cold called me, and who was like, I'm looking to make $100,000 per flip. And I'm just like, look, man, I know 10 other investors in our area who are looking to make $30,000 a flip, and they're okay with a more modest profit margin. So you want to find buyers who are okay with more modest profit margins, who aren't looking for a home run on every single deal, and they're going to be making it up with volume, right? Because when you're making $30K a deal, but you're doing 50 deals a year, that's a lot of money in profit. And so these kind of buyers, they have crews to keep busy. They have construction crews that they want to just keep fed so that they don't go and work for the next investor. So you want to make sure that they are closing a high volume of deals, they have a modest profit, but that they're also funding with cash, right? Because that's going to allow them to be more competitive. You want to be working with actual cash buyers, right? We hear cash buyers a lot, but I think people forget to ask, hey, how are you funding your deals? So when they have their own cash, they can be more aggressive with the purchase price because they're not paying 7, 10, 14% on their capital, and therefore they can take deals at slimmer margins.
And you're exactly right. So the sophisticated cash buyers, right, they're not going to skip over the $30,000 profit deals because the $100,000 profit deals will come for them, but they wouldn't have a business unless they do those $30,000 deals. Like the fix and flipper, the cash buyer that only wants a $100,000 profit deal, that person may do 1 or 2 deals a year tops, right? They're not serious. They're not doing the volume. What that means is they're not getting the reps in. And that means if they only buy 2 deals a year and you want to wholesale 3, 5 houses a month, they're not your main buyer. They're not going to be able to buy properties from you. And for wholesaling, for me, I don't just want to do 1 deal a month or 1 deal a year. We want to do multiple. So you need to find the cash buyers that are doing multiple, and they are out there and they are serious about doing these types of deals. And what that allows you to do when you have a serious cash buyer, you can now offer at higher prices. You can now get a deal under contract, give them a call, and you know what they do every single week? They buy property. So they're going to pick up your phone call. They're going to look at the property immediately after because they know good deals go quick, and then you're going to be able to close deals faster. So it's just super important to understand this, and we understand this from being in the industry for so long. But one of the best ways people say, or they go to the Facebook group and they're like, oh, I got these cash buyers now. It's like, oh yeah, did you talk to them or what are their names? They're like, I don't know. Like, I just got an email address, and that doesn't really do anything for you at all because they may not be serious, right? They may not have no idea what they're doing. They watch one HGTV show. They may have never even fixed and flipped a house. And so one of the ways that we like to vet a cash buyer is just simply talking to them, right? So those questions that you were talking about, what areas, what zip codes, what neighborhoods do you buy in? What types of properties do you like? Do you like 2 1s or 3 2s? Right? We're developing a customer profile. I always call it taking the server approach because now when we know exactly what they want, we can bring them exactly what they want. Everyone likes that. That's how you do great business. And so if anyone's a beginner on here and wants to, number one, learn how to talk to cash buyers, in the description, we'll put our cash buyer script. So these are the exact questions we ask our cash buyers. We've been modifying this script throughout the years. Use this so you're not an amateur and you can be a pro from day one and just get started talking to cash buyers. And then also we'll include some strategies on how to find these cash buyers in the description too. And like one quick way, I'll just mention it real quick. Because if anyone's going to send me a deal right now, I need to find a cash buyer potentially in 10 seconds or less. I'm just going to use the Google Ninja trick, right, that we've coined. I'm just going to, right, if there's a cash buyer in Kansas City, Missouri, or if there's a deal in Kansas City, Missouri, I need a cash buyer there. I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to type in sell my house fast, Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm going to look at the organic search results of the companies, the real estate investment companies that have invested in their own marketing to rank organically on there, which takes time. Takes time to season your website on there too. So I know, hey, a lot of the times this person invested capital into their own business, and now I'm going to go look at their website, and now I can give them a call because their phone numbers are going to be on there. And when we type in a search term like sell my house fast, Kansas City, Missouri, what we're doing is pretending and acting as a motivated seller wants to sell their house. So right away, we then start to see potential cash buyers. And yeah, maybe some of those are smart wholesalers. Cool. We can still give them a call. If it's a wholesaler, no worries. Let's maybe JV on a deal. But now we can find cash buyers instantly. And this is just always step one because number one, people don't know how to find these cash buyers. People are scared to talk to them. And this is one of the most integral steps. And people are so eager to start finding deals, and they don't even know. Once again, this goes back to what's a good deal or a bad deal. You don't know till you talk to your cash buyer. And that's why we just we stress the importance of it as step number one. So whether you want to wholesale locally or virtually, wherever you want to go, start finding those cash buyers in your particular area that you want to wholesale first. Understand what they want, because they may use rule of thumb math, right? We've seen in different markets that some people are buying 85% of the ARV minus repairs, just a really quick rule of thumb. And maybe a different market or the top cash buyers buying 82%. That 3% difference can be a $15,000 adjustment in your offer price, which can allow you to beat out the competition or severely submit an offer that's lower. So you don't know that intel, that information, until you actually talk to these cash buyers. So just, if you actually want to be serious in this business, which if you want to be serious, it's easy to stick out. It's easy to beat out the competition. It's easy to beat out the amateurs. It's easy to beat out the people who watch a 60-second TikTok video and then think they're an actual wholesaler because they're too afraid. They're not willing to go the extra mile. That's just what we always recommend if you want to be a serious virtual real estate wholesaler.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Alex. And if you guys have seen some of the other videos on our YouTube channel and you've seen me call cash buyers for the very first time in another state, these are people that I've never talked to before, and I use various strategies to find these buyers. So if you guys are looking for examples of us calling buyers and building authentic relationships, check out the other videos on our channel. I have some very, very funny conversations, but I'm working with several of those buyers still today. We're working with them and we're doing deals, actively working with these buyers. So it's a legit way. There's, in addition to the Google Ninja trick, you can use the MLS to find cash buyers by simply searching in a zip code or a geography and then looking at the cash sales that are similar to the properties that you're pursuing, and then look up the owners on title. Mm-hmm. And you can quickly find out if these are investors who are buying, fixing, and selling for a profit. And then after doing a little bit of digging, you can now find these individuals, find their contact information, and then give them a call and build a relationship with them. And use our cash buyer script, because if you're not sure what to say, like I know what you might be thinking is that, hey, how am I going to call someone in a state that maybe you've never even been to and build relationships with these investors who are spending millions of dollars on real estate every year, probably even every month. Well, check out the script, check out the videos. We made those to give you the confidence to make these calls in new markets and just see us do it, so you can peek over the shoulder of us who've been doing this for over a decade. So check those out. And just leverage the technologies that we have to, dive in and really find the real investors in those markets, because it can pay dividends. And some of the buyers that we work with today, they're very aggressive on how they're able to submit offers, right? Some of them are submitting very large, non-refundable earnest money deposits on properties that they like. And that translates to our offers too. Yep. So we're able to offer terms that other people cannot compete with, because of the relationship that we have, because of the time that we've invested in these relationships to build the trust, the rapport, and ultimately it's allowing us to do more deals where other people are getting outbid by us, because in turn we're doing the deal finding for these investors, that took a while to find and build the relationships with. So guys, we can't stress enough, find the cash buyers first, take the time, go through the buyers that you're finding and really vet to find the good ones, because this can be crucial, absolutely crucial to the success of your business as you begin to get acquainted with the new market and really start to scale.
Mm-hmm. And on those videos, the Watch Me Find Cash Buyers videos, those are first calls that you did. Those were in virtual markets that we're not in. We're in the office in San Diego making those calls. A lot of those calls were to Colorado. And so, firsthand, everyone, if you just watch those videos, you can see us making real life calls to cash buyers we're doing deals with. So definitely check those out. So, okay, we talked about finding cash buyers, how to talk to them, how to vet them. Now let's talk about the next step, because now we know what's a good deal, what's a bad deal, because we talked to these cash buyers. So I would say step 2 is we got to find these properties and make offers on these properties that now we know our cash buyers want in the areas that they want to buy. We're not offering on rural property and who knows where there's no comparable properties within 2 miles and it's not in a suburban neighborhood. We're offering in probably a major city that they're in, doing multiple deals every single month, right? So let's dive into finding these deals. And I think what would be good is, a lot of people think too that they need to do marketing to find these deals, right? A lot of people hear about off-market marketing, direct-to-seller marketing. They think they need to go door knock or drive for dollars or spend thousands of dollars in direct mailers or put bandit signs on the side of the road or do TV commercials or radio ads. And that's a lot of work if you want to get started. It's a lot of work if you have a full-time job. That's a lot of work if you have children. That's a lot of frickin' work for anyone, right?
And money.
And money. And when we have limited time, we always talk about it. We talk about efficiency every single day. We want to be as efficient as we can. And if the main premise, what we're trying to do is find motivated sellers who actually want to sell their property, this is why we like to focus on the market, where any property that's listed for sale technically is a motivated seller. But we're not looking for retail beautiful properties. We're not looking for the 5-bed, 6-bath houses that are 5,000 square feet that are $2 million in a gated community that don't need any fixing. Now, when we focus on the market, we're looking for those distressed properties. And every single day, there's distressed properties being listed on the market. That's what we find and filter for on the market using free tools like Redfin, like Realtor, like Zillow. And there's a lot of people that get in their own way that say, oh my gosh, I got to become some professional marketer. I got to write 1,000 letters and lick 1,000 envelopes to then go sit back at my desk at home, cross my fingers, and stare at the phone, wait for it to ring till I can get some leads. When really all the leads anyone could want to consistently wholesale deals every single month, to consistently virtually wholesale deals every single month, they're right on their freaking computer that they can access in 1 minute using these websites. So let's dive into that.
Yeah, like I said before, Redfin is the site that I frequent more than any other site, probably other than Google.com, of course, because that's just the default, browser.
Right.
But it's very easy to find amazing properties at a distance, really in every state. There are a few states where Redfin's not in, so that's where Realtor.com comes in. That's where Zillow comes in. That's where getting MLS access through some of the various strategies that we teach in different markets come in. But ultimately, some of the ways that we find and filter deals include the day zero strategy, which has by far been one of the most fruitful strategies to find amazing properties to virtually wholesale. And the another strategy is the keyword searching strategy, which is something that we can target properties, because you go into markets and there's thousands of properties for sale. So we don't want to pursue all of those thousands of properties. We need to narrow it down to maybe the 5%, the 10% of properties at any given time that we can now go pursue and make strategic calculated offers on. So keyword searching is another one. And also property hopping as well. So like I said, when you're talking to your buyers and they're buying in a specific area and the exact deal they're looking for, then you look for deals just like that come up in that exact neighborhood. So, that's just 3 out of over a dozen strategies, that we've been using, that we coach our students on to find deals in any market. And so, using any of these sites, you can hop on and literally within minutes find great deals. Redfin also has a fixer-upper filter that we like to pull up because some people might think that there aren't any deals in their market. Even when they're in very large markets, with hundreds of thousands of people and thousands of properties for sale. So a very easy way too is just pull up a county, pull up a city, and then go on Redfin and filter out properties that are fixer-uppers using their filter there. So that's another just very easy way. It's not perfect. You're going to miss a lot of the good deals, which is why we use the other strategies. But But those are really the quickest, easiest ways that we know that don't require any money in marketing. And to your point, Alex, we've done marketing direct to seller. We've done the PPC. We've done the pay per lead. We've spent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing to generate leads. And you're gonna be paying $5, $6, sometimes $10,000+ before you maybe get a deal when you're going direct to seller. And these are recent numbers. We know a lot of investors, a lot of wholesalers. We have multiple investment businesses, and these are real numbers. So for most folks that are out there looking to crack into real estate, you don't have 5 to 10K a month that you are willing to risk, especially when you've never done it before and you're not sure how to negotiate with sellers, how to manage all the different situations that these distressed sellers are in, right? There's people going through pre-foreclosures, there's divorces, there's inherited properties, there's unexpected bills coming up. Like, there's so many situations that people are going through when they're looking to sell their house for cash off market through these various methods that it's really a lot for a newbie to really handle, and especially when you need to close these leads. Otherwise, you're out $10,000, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're very passionate about the on-market strategy and helping people get a yield on those leads, because it's all profit at the end of the day, right? Everyone has time, everyone has hustle, everyone has ambition. At least the people we want to work with, that they're willing to apply themselves to score these hyper profitable deals. And now it's not a matter of spending money to generate leads. It's more about spending your time to build relationships and going straight to great deals that you can lock up. And it's all profit at that point.
Yeah. And it's great not only for beginners, it's great for someone who's advanced, the people that are spending $5,000, $10,000 per deal, because when you can start to acquire deals from the MLS on the market that cost $0 in marketing, what happens overnight is you basically cut your acquisition costs in half if you're acquiring as many deals from on the market as off the market. So then it can make all of your numbers work and your business flow, because it doesn't cost any money to put a property under contract on the market whatsoever. So this is why a lot of clients come to us. This is why a lot of people come to us who are advanced, who are doing 50, 100 deals a year, because they want to approach the on-market side. They want to be able to do deals that have $0 invested into them, as opposed to the $5,000 or $10,000 acquisition costs on marketing for a lot of these off-market deals. So we know we can use the MLS, we can use the on-market, we can use Redfin. We want to find these distressed deals. You talked about these particular strategies, and we want to submit offers on these properties. That's one of the, I think a lot of people skip this step or try to skip this step, and they get confused on what an offer is. And one thing we believe in here, we have a very different distinction on what an offer is at our company. One thing you love saying is an offer isn't real unless it's in writing, meaning an offer to us is a written contract. And that's because at the end of the day, those are worth their weight in gold, because all that needs to happen once a written contract is submitted to the actual real estate agent, now all the seller needs to do is sign the dotted line, and we now have a binding contract. We now have the property under contract. If we're sending a text message of an offer price, even an email of an offer price, and we don't have a written contract submitted, we still then have to get a contract written up, sign it, and then submit it. And if we're just willing to submit written offers as best as we can on a consistent basis, daily basis, right? We recommend multiple per day for those that are actually serious in this business, or if you're just starting out, one a day or one every other day. That's what's going to move the needle. That's what's going to allow you to get deals. And so now it's not just about finding these deals. It's about talking to these real estate agents and getting written offers submitted.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love to say, if you're not making offers, you're not making any deals.
Yeah.
So, an offer is more than just sending an offer on a property. Of course, that's really the main point, but it's also a conversation starter. It's also a relationship opener. It's an opportunity to market yourself in these virtual markets, right? It's an opportunity to advertise your business in a new location that maybe you've never been to before. Maybe you're trying to build relationships. So it's an excuse. It's a great reason to be calling the gatekeepers to deals in this new virtual market, right? It's a great way to crack into the robust network of agents who are talking to sellers every single day and introducing yourself, your company. And really, your goal with every offer that you submit is to build a relationship and get on the short list of cash buyers that this agent knows, right? The listing agent who you're calling. You want them to think of you when they come across a seller who doesn't want to put their property on the MLS, who doesn't have the time or the resources to get it ready to go on the market as a listing. So they still will go to a real estate agent to help them sell it. And that real estate agent might come to you as the investor because you've presented a written offer, right? You've shown that you have a proof of funds. You've shown that you're serious. And they'll come to you knowing that you can provide a cash offer, a great solution for their client within a matter of 24, 48 hours. So really the side effect of making offers on properties, whether you're in your local market or long distance, is that you're now building relationships with real estate agents. And we like to call this the snowball effect. Because if you think about it, how do real estate agents get clients? How do real estate agents get listings? They're doing tons of marketing, right? They're the ones who are door knocking, sending postcards, doing, bus stop ads, really everything under the sun. They're hustling out there to get leads. So why don't we work a little smarter and make relationships with all of these agents so that when they come across these leads that are perfect for an investor, they're going to want to represent the buyer as well as the seller. So they're going to think of us because we took the time out of our day to call, to build relationships and submit an offer so that they can take us seriously. They have our email, our phone number, our contact info. They probably know something about us now because we know how to build relationships and talk to people on the phone. And so after you do that for a few months at a time, you're going to get some deals falling on your lap like we do all the time. We'll have deals just land in our inbox as a result of just working this system of calling agents and submitting offers. So it's really just, you have to think of it big picture. You have to expect that a lot of your offers are going to get rejected. That's just the name of the game. But through that, right, if you send 10 offers, you're now in with 10 agents, right? And don't take it personally if your offers don't get accepted. Just know that you can always ask the agent a few questions, right? Do you have any other deals, right? If this isn't a good fit, if my offer is not going to get accepted on this one, that's cool. I'm super glad we met. You're obviously an active agent. I'm obviously an active investor. What about anything else that you have in the pipeline? Any deals that you think I should be looking at? Any properties that would be great for a fix and flip, for a buy and hold, whatever your strategy is, whatever your cash buyer strategy is. And that way you can now get on the radar. And I can't tell you how many deals that we've got and our students have received just from asking that one simple question. Do you have any other deals? So you're going to want to ask the agents this, and you're going to want to have a reason to follow up with them too. So again, just a side effect of working this system is that you're tapping in to the thousands of dollars of marketing, to the thousands of hours that these agents are putting in, and your network is now compounding, and you're essentially getting in front of so many opportunities that otherwise you wouldn't have if you were only focusing on your own marketing and your own mailers or your own cold calling, right? So this is just the smartest way to continue to diversify your reach in any given market in anywhere in the country.
And you know me, I like running through thought exercises, but I always like asking silly questions. But it's, if you run this scenario, imagine the virtual wholesaler, number one, who sends 100 text messages to an agent or to 100 different agents who says their offer price and what they want to buy it at, versus the virtual wholesaler that sends 100 written contracts. Who's going to get more deals at the end of the day? I'll put all my money on the person who sends 100 written contracts. Because also what's happening too, all of your points are 100% valid. What's also happening too, when you submit an offer, a written offer, and it's not accepted the first time around, that's important to understand. Like, a lot of offers get not accepted the first time around. A higher offer gets accepted, and guess what? It's an amateur wholesaler, doesn't know what they're doing. They offered way too high of a price, and so who's the real estate agent going to go to next? Now, if that offer got canceled, this other one, they're going to look in their email inbox. They're going to say, who actually submitted me a written contract? Because I'm going to go to the next most serious person. So it gives you not only a reason to follow up, it gives the agent a reason to follow up with you. And I can't tell you how many times, dozens of times, where agent says, hey, that offer's not going to work, that offer's not going to stand, and we get it submitted anyways. Then the agent calls me back and says, you know what, Alex? You told me so. Does your offer still stand? Mm-hmm. And it's all because we are working this muscle of submitting written offers. If you're not working this muscle and submitting written offers, you're never going to get a wholesale deal. You're never going to get a fix and flip deal. You're never going to buy any rental properties. Because just like you mentioned, the only way you get deals is by submitting written offers. So it's just so important to do it. It's more than just trying to get that deal on the front end. It's the seriousness of your offer. It's how serious this agent's going to take you. A majority of people are going to call this agent and not submit an offer. If an agent challenges them and says, hey, that isn't going to work, majority of people say, okay. Whereas we're going to fight to get our offer in. Because we've had so many deals, hundreds of thousands, maybe over $1 million so far, where we've closed deals where agents said, hey, that offer is not going to work. And a lot of the times, I love real estate agents, but it's not too hard to get a real estate agent's license. And in our experience, we have a lot more experience and a lot more transactional experience than a lot of the real estate agents we deal with. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot more than them. So when you're dealing with an agent who's listing a distressed house who's never ever closed a deal, and saying, you know what, no, it's going to go at the list price all day, and it's listed at too high of a price, and we need to submit our offer $50,000 below the list price, we're going to get that frickin' offer in, and when reality sets in, and there's higher offers that are getting canceled, and when they have to reduce that list price, we're going to be the knight in shining armor, the one that, from speaking in a genuine sense the whole entire time, that knew what they were doing the whole entire time, and then agent's going to realize that. And that's also how we've done a lot of these deals, because we didn't waver. We didn't back down. We didn't change our approach. We said, this is how it's going to go. You're probably going to get a lot of people submitting higher offers in this, but guess what they're going to do at the nth hour on the last day of their inspection contingency? They're going to ask you for a $100,000 reduction, and they're going to cancel out, and they're going to back out of this contract. And what happens a majority of the time? That happens. So when we know this, and we can tell the real estate agent this, and we can play to this, this is always our approach of just being those no-nonsense, genuine cash offers and these no-nonsense buyers that these real estate agents can trust. So just this muscle of submitting written offers, just actually doing it, puts you in the game. And it's all about these little things, these little distinctions that really make you a professional rather than an amateur.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, when you submit a written offer, the listing agent has an obligation to present that to the seller. And so if you're just sending a text message, if you're just committing to something over a phone conversation, then they don't have to submit that to the seller. They don't actually have to present it. So the seller might never even see the offer. Mm-hmm. So that's the other point that I wanted to make is like the reason we send them in writing is because we know it's going to get presented. And even if it doesn't get accepted, like you said, they might come to terms with where their pricing is. Maybe they're overpriced. Maybe their motivation changes from week to week. And just the fact that we're in their inbox, we've had a personalized call with them. Now we have more opportunity than ever to actually come in and be the winning offer once the seller does decide to go with someone that can actually help them close the deal. And so as time goes on, motivation changes. And so just the fact that we get it in there, and we like to get it in early too. Mm-hmm. So if we can be the first one to offer, that can increase our likelihood of getting the deal, 9 times out of 10. So there's a saying in real estate, the first offer is often the best offer. Mm-hmm. So speed is often the name of the game. And if you can be the first one to offer, you're going to set yourself up for success. But even then, if you can call and still build a genuine relationship, you'd be surprised at how many other investors, how many other offers are not doing that with agents. I think we probably take it for granted because that's just how we've been doing it for so long. But when we work with other investors coming to us who haven't worked our MLS offer system, they plug into this and they can see the results immediately of how having these conversations, right, mm-hmm. running through our scripts, it makes such a big difference in distinguishing yourself as a serious buyer, a professional buyer, versus these other wishy-washy buyers, or even some of the agents representing these other buyers are just not even doing it to the extent that we've been training and that we've been practicing in our businesses. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So in order to submit a quality offer, right, guys, that's what it comes down to, is understanding the situation of the property, right? The physical condition of the property. That's why we want to have the right questions presented to the listing agent, the seller, when we're making what we call a discovery call on these properties. So again, we're trying to avoid going to the property. So we want to extract as much information as possible when we're talking to the agent. We want to ask questions that they are legally required to give us this information, right? Mm-hmm. When we ask, are there any structural issues? When was the last time this house was updated? How old is the roof? Are there any material defects with this property? Are there any disclosures or reports that you can share with me? They have to share all of this stuff with us. And guess what? If they don't know anything about the property, which surprisingly a lot of times they don't know anything about the property, then that just gives us more leverage to make our best guess, and ultimately gives us leverage when we are doing our inspection, when we're in our inspection contingency, right? We're going to discover things that even the agent didn't know about, that maybe the seller didn't know about, and therefore we can then amend our price to make sense for our business model. So some of you might be asking, when I'm making my offer, do I need to go see the property, right? Maybe the agent is saying no blind offers, right? You need to go see the property, right? So we've been handling this objection for many years, and it really just comes down to confidence, right? When you understand the wholesaling process, when you understand the acquisitions process, right? When you understand wholesale real estate contracts, when you understand how to navigate an escrow, you're going to have the confidence to communicate that, look, we're busy investors. We're trying to buy 10 houses by the end of the month. If I was going to go see every single property that I'm looking to buy and make an offer on before making an offer, I wouldn't be in business. I'd be running around all day, in my car and spending time in this crazy traffic, right? That doesn't sound great, does it? Well, guess what? I'd be more than happy to come to the property. One of my team members or myself will be there as soon as your seller accepts, or at least tells us that they're going to accept, subject to us going to see the property. And that's exactly why we have our inspection contingency in there, so that everything you're telling me, I'm taking it, I'm listening and I'm taking notes. And through our experience of buying and renovating properties in this area, we really know what this thing's going to take as far as renovations and our budget. So as long as everything you're telling me here is accurate and is fully disclosed, like we're very confident we know what price we need to buy this thing at, and we're going to go in and do our inspections. And as long as there's no major issues, we're going to be in the clear. So, I'd love for you to present my offer. And as long as the seller is on board and we'll have a short inspection contingency, then there's really no reason for me to go see this property right now. We're buying deals all over the country. We love this area. We're particularly buying here. And we'd be happy to come to the property as soon as we have some resemblance of a deal. Mm-hmm. So just like that, now you don't need to go see the property beforehand. And I'll say the same thing, whether it's here in San Diego, where we're located, whether it's in Tennessee, Ohio, Florida. Like, I'm obviously not going to go see those properties, but we have team members. Somebody on our team can go see it. And really, as a last resort, sure, you can. If the listing agent's going to represent you, just say, hey, I'm not in town, and say the same thing. I'm more than happy to get out there once we have a deal. I have partners on the ground, right? I have my contractor there. He can go check it out. I have an agent who can go see it for me. Maybe you have another friend or wholesaler who can go check it out for you. So it just depends on how you're looking to work this particular deal, but there's many ways to overcome that objection so that you as the business owner, you as the investor, you as the virtual wholesaler don't actually have to go to the property.
Yeah, that's always the goal. And so I can tell you've said that a few times as well, and handled that objection, of course, throughout the years. This is how we virtually wholesale anywhere. Right, just through these conversations with the real estate agent. Sometimes the real estate agent can represent you as a buyer, and they take photos and send you more photos of the property. And The important thing to understand, the listing agent is as incentivized as us to close the deal. The listing agent doesn't get paid until the deal is closed. And a big distinction with the MLS and on market too, these aren't cold calls. These are warm calls, and I like to call them even hot calls, because real estate agents in a way get paid to pick up random phone numbers calling them, right? So let's just say you are in California calling Colorado and you have a 858 area code, and you're calling on this property in Colorado. This listing agent is thinking this could be a random buyer. Like, they're going to pick up the phone. And so, it does help in some situations if you want to change your area code to the local market that you're in. That's a nice little ninja tip. Mm-hmm. But they get paid to pick up phone calls, right? Some of us may be asking, why would an agent pick up my phone calls? They get paid to pick up phone calls. They want to close the deal. And so when we're just working on these deals and we're trying to virtually wholesale real estate, this is why we feel so confident doing this in different markets. It's why our students can come in here and wholesale in different markets. It's because agents are used to picking up these phone calls from random phone numbers, and then we handle these objections with confidence so that we don't have to go to the properties. And just like you mentioned, there's been so many deals. It's our goal, right? It is our goal not to see the property first in person, just to save time. Because now once we have it under contract, we have the inspection contingency, now we get out there. Because, just like you're telling that agent, if we go to every single property before getting it under contract, that's a lot of freaking properties, right? That's a lot of properties. No one's going to have time for that. So what we want to do is call the real estate agent. We want to submit the offer, and once we get the property under contract in this particular situation, let's talk about the next steps on virtual wholesaling. Because once we have that property under contract, let's talk about wholesaling it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where it's so important to structure your wholesale real estate contract favorably so that you have enough time to find your cash buyer, you have enough time to shop the deal around to your buyers, and you also have protections to preserve and protect your earnest money deposit if you're going to be putting that up, and ultimately just execute your wholesale strategy. So, let's talk about getting it under contract. So one of the most important things you're going to want to have in your wholesale contract is an inspection contingency. Mm-hmm. And so what this is essentially a time frame that is specified in the contract, which allows you as the buyer all the opportunity to inspect the physical property, and ultimately you want to be satisfied with the physical property before you remove your contingency. Now, this is a way that you can back out of your purchase agreement if you're unsatisfied with the physical condition of the property for any reason. So this is one of the strongest protections that wholesalers have in their contracts, because if you're not satisfied with the property for pretty much any reason, then you can terminate it and walk away, get your earnest money deposit refunded, and you're good to go. But not only is it for a physical inspection, this is also the opportunity for you to shop the deal to your cash buyers, and ultimately your inspection is going to be completed by your cash buyers. So one of the questions that we get a lot from students, from people in our community is, do I need to do the inspection as a wholesaler, right? Especially when you're a virtual wholesaler. Do I need to go pay an inspector to go inspect this property during my inspection? So what you want to do is have your cash buyers go perform the inspection so that you don't actually have to go spend the money on an inspector and physically be present. So you want to coordinate your cash buyer to go do their walkthrough. It's either going to be the investor who's going to be buying the deal. It might be their project manager. It might be their contractor. So someone on their team is probably going to want to go lay eyes on the property at some point before they commit to the deal. So you're going to want to have this completed during your inspection period so that you can solidify a new buyer on your contract for your deal before you remove your inspection contingency. Because when you remove it, that means you're locked in. That means unless you have other contingencies in place, that your earnest money is now non-refundable and you're pretty much committed to the deal financially. So this is super important, guys, as you can imagine. A lot of times new wholesalers might wonder, hey, how can I get out of a contract? Mm-hmm. How can I back out of the deal if I can't find a buyer, right? an inspection contingency isn't there to use if you can't find a buyer, right?
Yeah.
So it needs to be because of the physical condition of the property. So upon your inspection, your cash buyer's inspection, they might say, hey, the repairs exceed what we initially thought about the property, right? Our rehab budget just blew up because of these things that we didn't know regarding the property. It's in much worse shape than it initially was believed to be in, and therefore, we're either going to need to renegotiate this price, we need to get some kind of credit to make up for these repairs, or we are going to have to terminate, right? So this is a very crucial contingency because it'll allow you to restructure your wholesale so that you can actually have a profitable exit based on a renegotiated price. Of course, we try not to do this a lot, but sometimes that happens, right? Especially when we don't get the information up front, when there's not a lot of photos online, when the listing description is very limited, when there's no reports or just disclosures that have been shared with us. So this is a great opportunity to make sure that the deal is a good fit for everybody involved.
For sure. And with that inspection contingency, with the correct backout clause and knowing how to utilize it correctly, this is how we virtually wholesale real estate risk-free. We always put backout clauses on our contract, on our contracts in case things do come up and we can renegotiate. And just for some context on the industry, there's some people that are wholesaling real estate and their whole strategy is to tie up a property at a high price and then at the last minute then ask for that $100,000 reduction. And that's not how we roll. That's not how we do things. So if other people are doing that we really don't recommend that. That's what puts kind of a bad name to some wholesalers out there. And that's also what allows us to close more deals. So I recommend for anyone watching, do it this particular way where you're putting your best foot forward first and only renegotiate the price because you messed up. Only renegotiate the price because we put it under contract at too high of a price accidentally or something came up during the repairs that we were looking at, and then we adjust the price. And if you do that, you're not going to burn any bridges with real estate agents. These real estate agents are going to be wanting to work with you time and time again because they can trust you. And people work with who they like and trust. And if we have 100 real estate agents in our area, and you can call 100 real estate agents in 1 week, and they all like and trust you, who are they going to bring more deals to? Most likely you. Now, back to the contracts. If anyone wants to download examples of the contracts that we like to use, then you can just go in the description. We'll put those in there, and you can use those to virtually wholesale real estate. And these contracts as well that we're doing on the market, these are signed digitally. So no matter where you're at, right? Some people might be thinking, if they're stuck in the off-market world, I got to go meet with this seller at the dinner table and go sign a contract. I can't do that virtually, right? Well, with on the market, these contracts are sent through DocuSign, and agents are using software like Zip Forms. It's sent through email, right? It's e-sign. And that's what allows us to do this virtually. So you don't need to go meet in person to sign contract. And the overwhelming majority of these contracts we sign, and 99% of them are virtual. It's through email. We're not in the same place. We may not be in the same state, same city. So that's normal in this business. This isn't like some crazy thing we're asking people to do. It's very normal to sign these 100% digitally, get these deals under contract.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to note that historically real estate has been a very low-tech industry, very low-tech business. And even with all the technology we have today, you really don't need all sorts of software and all these crazy platforms and all these bells and whistles. You really just need some of the basic things, and that's why we always advise our students to keep a pretty low overhead business. We see other people buying expensive software and doing all these crazy things to design their business in a way, but we just focus on results and doing things as lean as possible, right? We come from a very lean mentality, highest ROI possible. And what you really need, like Alex said, is you obviously need an email address. You can use Google Suite, which has spreadsheets, which has Google Docs. You have your whole suite, and it's absolutely free. And then, of course, an e-signature software as well. DocuSign, Digital Ink, AuthentiSign are some of the popular ones. And so when you're working with real estate agents, they'll actually fill out contracts for you, and they'll be sending them to you. So it's very easy to actually have these done. But when you're filling out your own contracts, of course, it's very nice to have your own digital software. So there's plenty of those that you can tap into. And when it comes to closings and documents and things like that, all of that's done virtually as well. So it's you really don't need to have a huge tech stack to really be successful in this business.
Mm-hmm. And so with all this, we can put the property under contract digitally, virtually, wherever you're located at. Now, once we have it under contract, then we need to get the cash buyer there, get in front of the cash buyer. That we've already done in step one. We've already found these cash buyers. We know it's a great deal for them. We're not scrambling around like a chicken with their head cut off trying to find a cash buyer now at this particular point. We have it under contract. We're protecting ourselves with that inspection contingency. Now we need to work on getting this in front of our cash buyer and selling it to them. So let's talk about that so we can start working towards closing the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So where we kind of left off is that, hey, we've got the property under contract, right?
Yep.
We're virtually wholesaling it. So we've already overcome the objections of, hey, I need to go to the property before making an offer, and then the inspection as well. We've already talked about that. How can we move forward with our virtual wholesale deal during our actual physical inspection? That's getting our cash buyers there. So once we have a cash buyer who's ready to commit, who likes the deal, they've done their walkthrough, there's like, hey, Alex, I'm ready to take over this purchase agreement. What's next? Okay, so there's three main ways where we can actually close this virtual wholesale deal. And all of them can be done virtually, digitally, without requiring our physical presence. So the first of which is what we will recommend to 9 times out of 10, because it's the lowest cost, it's the easiest way to get it done, and it's the fastest way that you can really wholesale a deal, is the assignment of contract. So what this is an addendum to your original purchase and sale agreement, which effectively transfers your interest as the buyer on that contract to your cash buyer. And in that agreement, it will also state an assignment fee. So the cash buyer, who's considered the assignee, is agreeing to pay you, the assignor, a fee of $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, really whatever you can negotiate, which is the beauty of wholesaling. You kind of set the wholesale fee, and it's up to negotiation. And it says that, hey, I'm transferring my rights to buy this property to a new buyer. They're going to be paying me a fee, and they're going to take over the contract as well as all the liability, all the responsibility and obligations, and they're going to be closing the deal, and we're essentially out of the picture. So the cash buyer steps in once you get this assignment contract executed, and this gets sent to the title company, the same place that you sent your purchase agreement, and now the cash buyer is going to fund the deal and move forward with the exact same terms as in your original purchase agreement. So again, this can be done through email, through digital signatures, and ultimately the title company is a third-party neutral company that is going to facilitate the execution and follow through of all of these contracts. So you're protected, your cash buyer's protected, the seller's protected, everybody's winning, and these contracts just memorialize your agreements, so there's no misunderstanding, right? If it's not in writing, it's not real. And so if you guys are looking for a great assignment contract, one that we've used just as recently as last week to close deals, it's tried and true in multiple states, go ahead and download the Wholesale Real Estate Contracts in the description. You can also go to realestateskills.com/contracts to download both our real estate purchase and sale agreement and assignment agreement that we've been using for years and have even recently updated for your benefit as a wholesaler. So that's the first method, is the assignment of contract to wholesale your virtual wholesale deal. Now, the second one is a double closing. So a double closing is really just as it's pronounced. There's two closings. So in order to have two closing, you're going to need two purchase and sale agreements. So let's just kind of rewind. We have our first purchase agreement, and instead of assigning that purchase agreement, we're actually going to be closing on that contract, okay? But we're going to be forming a second purchase and sale agreement between, let's say me as the wholesaler and the cash buyer is going to be the buyer on that contract. So again, me as the wholesaler, I am now the seller on that second contract, and the cash buyer is now the buyer. So again, the first contract, we refer to that as the AB contract kind of in the wholesale industry between the property owner and me as the wholesaler. The second contract is the BC contract, which is between me as the wholesaler and the cash buyer. So me as the seller and the cash buyer is the buyer. So you want to line them up strategically so that the close of escrow dates line up exactly. Your inspection periods pretty much line up exactly. You're going to want to have the second contract inspection period expire a little bit before the original contract. So just in case they don't perform or something goes on, then you just want to make sure they're locked in. And you also want to structure the deposits in a way that your cash buyer is funding their deposit and it's non-refundable, so that any money you put up on the first contract is protected and that you're getting reimbursed and potentially even making money on that as well if your cash buyer's deposit is more than the deposit you put up on the AB contract. So a little bit more intricate, a little bit more complicated because there are two closings. And so there are some other technical differences with the double closing. You're actually buying the property and then you're immediately reselling it to another party. So you're going to be on title as the owner for a few hours and immediately you're reselling it to another party. So it is different. There are ways to do it without any of your own money, right? A lot of people ask, can you virtually wholesale with no money? This is one way to do it, through the assignment and through the double closing. If you want to do the double closing without any money, you can simply use your buyer's funds, your end buyer's funds, to fund the first transaction. So we call this a pass-through closing, right? So you just need to find an investor-friendly title company, a wholesale-friendly title company, and vet them ahead of time to make sure that they can do this, because not every title company will do this. But it is an amazing way to virtually wholesale with no money, and you can double close the deal without having to put up any of your own money. You can also use transactional lending to fund the deal. You're going to be paying a few points, some fees involved, so it's going to chip into your profit. But if the deal is good enough, it's going to make sense. You're going to get resourceful and figure it out. Of course, if you have the cash laying around, then you can use that to fund it. So,
yeah. And real quick, as a beginner, that was a very thorough breakdown. You nailed it. I'm sure people are wondering, why would I double close versus signing the contract? Why double close if there's more fees and maybe some more paperwork?
Yeah, that's a great question, Alex. So there's a few reasons. I would say the number one reason is that you want to disguise your assignment fee, right? If you have a great deal, you found an amazing property that has a huge margin, and you can charge $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 as a wholesale fee, knowing that your end buyer is going to make double, triple that on the flip. So you just got a great deal. That you want to eliminate the opportunity for them to try to renegotiate or beat you down on the fee that you're making when they see that assignment fee. So when you double close, you're not presenting them with an assignment contract that has your assignment fee right on there. You're actually presenting them with a purchase and sale agreement with one price that they're going to pay at closing, so that's what they're bringing to the table, and they don't know how much your original contract is. So it's one way to disguise your fee when you're going to be making a very large, substantial fee. The other reason is that, we've worked with hedge funds, and when there is a big fee, a lot of times, and even if there's not a huge fee, a lot of times these hedge funds, they want to know that there's a separation between the original contract, the original seller, and them as an entity buyer, as a large hedge fund buyer. So when you're wholesaling to hedge funds, sometimes they're going to want you to double close so that you're the one who's selling it to them and that they're not the ones buying it directly from the seller. So sometimes, people can look at the industry and say, hey, you're stealing equity. They call it equity stripping from the mom and pop seller who their entire retirement is in a house. And, there's just this misconception that, wholesalers or like these big hedge funds, these institutional landlords are stealing properties from people. So in order to protect the reputation, they actually require us to double close sometimes so that it's not them who's buying it from these mom and pop owners. There's a wholesaler in between. So that's another reason. And besides that, sometimes it's just you might have a non-assignable contract. There might be some friction to assign the contract. If you're buying from a bank or like a non-traditional seller, sometimes they might be a little more firm as far as the assignment goes. So if there's anything like that, sometimes an agent or a seller might say, hey, no wholesalers, no assignments, yada, yada. And if you can't really overcome those objections, then you can double close, or the third strategy we're going to talk about, you can certainly use that so that you're actually buying the property only to resell it shortly thereafter.
Awesome points. And so you can disguise your fee when working with hedge funds. They may want you to double close, create that separation. And then also, if you've never worked with a cash buyer before, and even if it's a $15,000 fee, but you don't know who the heck this cash buyer is. Like our cash buyers they're happy paying $20,000, $30,000 fees. We have great relationships with our cash buyers, which is why we can assign them. They want to pay us this money, but a lot of people don't have those cash buyer relationships. And so if there's not that trust already developed with that cash buyer, double closing can just be that great way to ensure you're disguising the fee and you're just not going to get beat down, like you said. So great points.
Yeah, and I would say kind of like the lesser discussed one is especially as a new wholesaler, if you don't have a big track record, being on the HUDs, buying and reselling properties helps you build a track record so that when you're raising hard money, when you're raising private money, when you're getting into fix and flips, you now have a track record of being the principal who's buying and selling these properties. And so you can now present this so you can get better hard money loans, you can get better financing terms when you're fixing and flipping, and you're getting into bigger investments where you're actually buying and holding properties. So it's just another way that you can actually build a track record. Even though with assignments you can still be on the HUD, it's just a sort of a different way where you're actually the buyer and seller on these contracts. So it's just another way maybe you want to build your track record as a newer wholesaler who's just getting started in virtual wholesaling. That might be a reason why you'd want to double close over assignments.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because here at Real Estate Skills, we do more than just wholesaling. We fix and flip. We've borrowed millions and millions of dollars for fix and flip deals from hard money lenders, private money lenders. We borrowed millions of dollars on rental properties that we buy and own. And so building up that track record is extremely important to get that funding so you can leverage other people's money and be able to buy these properties. And so if you're watching this today, that's the end goal here. Wholesaling is a great starting point. We still wholesale today, but we're also interested in buying and holding properties. So just want to throw that out there so anyone watching know we encourage you to use these funds you get from virtual wholesaling to then roll those profits into rental properties. This is what we're focused on day in, day out all the time. So just wanted to put that in there. Now, lastly, what's this third way to close, Ryan? What's this third way to close? If we need another way.
Yeah, so the third way, and this is a little more advanced, but this is what we call the entity assignment. So you can actually assign or you can sell your business entity, typically an LLC, to the end buyer for a fee instead of assigning the contract. So let's kind of break that down. So let's say, me as the wholesaler, I put a property under contract and I have that property under contract in my LLC. So instead of assigning the contract to a new buyer, I actually will sell my LLC to the new buyer. So on the contract, the buyer stays the same, but now the cash buyer, the end buyer, is now just purchasing my LLC. So we would use an LLC membership interest purchase agreement to then sell the LLC to the end buyer for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, whatever your wholesale fee is. And so why would you want to do that, right? So there are instances, for example, right, REOs, foreclosures, bank deals, where you're using their purchase agreement. You're doing the deal on their terms in many times. And of course you're getting a great deal, but there's some hoops you have to jump through. There's some There's some extraordinary rules that you have to abide by. And sometimes they don't allow assignments of contract. They just won't do it. So there are some exceptions to that. We've definitely assigned REOs. You usually have to do it a little bit earlier on in the transaction. We've absolutely done that many times. But if you're a little bit later in the transaction, it can get harder to do so. So one way to close a wholesale deal without assigning the contract or changing the buyer is simply just selling your entity to a new buyer. So there can be some complications with that. Some buyers might say, oh, well, what happens if your entity has a bunch of debt, right? What if you have a bunch of credit cards I don't know about? What if you have a business loan that is, hundreds of thousands of dollars that I'm now inheriting? So there's a few ways to circumvent that. You can sign an affidavit, which is a statement that's saying, hey, none of your concerns are valid. Like, I'm attesting that I do not have debt on this company. I don't have credit cards on this company. This is a clean entity. There's nothing in this entity other than this asset, which the asset is the contract. The second thing is that you can actually form a special purpose entity while you're under contract on this deal. So what that means is you can put the property under contract in your individual name or in your LLC. And then you can work with an attorney. We know several attorneys who do this, who specialize in this, but you can work with an attorney who will create what's called an SPE, a special purpose entity, that will be specifically designed for this type of wholesale deal, where you're now assigning your contract to your new entity, which is wholly owned by the same buyer. So it's basically me assigning it to myself in this new wholly owned entity. And that can be formed within 24, 48 hours. The attorney can do it for a few $100. And now it's a brand new entity. It's clean. There's a paper trail. Your end buyer is going to feel a lot more confident and comfortable with this entity that was formed 5 days ago, that obviously doesn't have much of a track record. And they can now take over this brand new, fresh, clean entity and pay you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for it. So again, there's no assignments of contract happening. It's just you're simply selling the membership interests of that brand new, clean entity to the buyer, and they're going to be paying you whatever your wholesale fee is. So the other huge advantage to this is, there are some regulations in states like South Carolina, right? People are saying wholesaling's illegal in South Carolina. There's states like Illinois, so there's a few states where there are some restrictions around the marketing and advertising of contracts, of properties, right? So in those situations, this is one way where you can actually avoid marketing and advertising a property or a contract. So this completely lands you in the clear of any restrictions around those types of rules. Because if you go ahead and lock this property, this contract up, and you go ahead and advertise that on Facebook or online, you can now say, hey, I'm selling an LLC. I have an LLC for sale for $20,000. And one of the assets of this LLC, here's a disclosure. The only asset of this LLC is this purchase agreement. And this purchase agreement is for a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot home in Greenville, South Carolina. And now you're not marketing and advertising the contract. You're doing so for the LLC. So there's other reasons why the entity assignment method is very important and is a great tool for any investor or any wholesaler who's looking to do deals. So that's why we wanted to mention it today as just a great tool in any wholesaler's tool belt.
Yeah, we wanted to go in depth and just include multiple strategies. And just to recap this particular section, I mean, overwhelming majority of deals that we do, we assign the contract. There's deals that we do that we double close. And then the strategy of entity assignment is the one we use the least, right? Just in those sticky situations that we need to do it. So for anyone watching, probably expect to assign most of the contracts, then double close, and for specific REOs, bank-owned properties, just one-off situations, you're going to want to use that entity assignment and understand that. So let's say we either assign or we double close. Ryan, let's talk about our favorite step, which is getting paid and collecting our virtual wholesale fee. How do we get that virtually? Do we have to go to that state and pick it up? Like, do we have to drive there? How's this work now?
Yeah, well, congratulations if you made it to this step. Everything has been lined up. You got a great deal under contract. You found your buyer. You've properly assigned it to them, or you've lined up your purchase agreement or your LLC sale agreement. And now you're coordinating with the title company, the escrow company, or the attorney, depending on what state you're in, and ultimately facilitating the closing. You're supervising, you're coordinating, and then ultimately when that transaction closes, now you're either receiving your fee, your profit, whatever that might be, through a check directly from title. Could be a wire transfer, or you could go pick it up, right? You could go pick up your check in person, or they could mail it to you, right? So, as a matter of fact, we've got this.
We usually get them wired, but
yeah, we usually get wires, but this one did get mailed to us. So this was a deal that we closed just a couple weeks ago, and it was mailed to us. So sometimes it's nice to have a little paper souvenir. You take your wholesale contracts, some pieces of paper, and that can be translated into these other valuable pieces of paper. So it can be either or. Wires, checks. At the end of the day, it's a nice clean profit.
Yeah, and that's the process right there. And what we do after this is we just repeat the process over and over and over again. It's what we do day in, day out. And then as we evolve as a virtual real estate investor, now at this particular point, you start building up a nest egg of capital. You build that track record like we're talking about. Now maybe you virtually fix and flip like we've done in a different state. And then you start building up more capital. And maybe you virtually buy and hold properties like we do in different states. So this, virtual wholesaling is this starting ground for us to not only make an active income, but then gain the skill sets that we need to get a passive income, which is one of the coolest things about real estate, right? Being able to own real estate that can then bring us passive income on a monthly basis, start taking care of our liabilities, start taking over our expenses. And so just always want us to be focused there, because if we're only focused on wholesaling and not building wealth, then it won't be our goals. Like we won't be shooting for that. But virtual wholesaling, what we wanted to do today was really go over the 101. We really wanted to pull the curtain aside and say, what the heck is virtual wholesaling, and how, if you understand these principles, apply them to your local market or any state across the U.S., you can do this from the comfort of your home, working at a coffee shop, while on vacation, while taking care of your children. This is something that it doesn't matter if you're 80 years old or 18 years old. Anyone here can be a real estate investor. Anyone here can be a virtual wholesaler using these strategies that we covered today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I just look back a few years to the pandemic and everyone's staying at home, and we're closing deals, right? People are like freaking out, and you can't go anywhere. A lot of jobs are kind of like shut down, and real estate is one of those essential businesses, and it was just cool to be able to work off the laptop, use our cell phones, use our email, and really just using the MLS, using some of these websites to find deals, close deals, monetize them. And like you said, it's really not just about like the money. It's about the ability to reinvest back into these assets, right? Because virtual wholesaling is one strategy, but there's also fixing and flipping, and then buying and holding. So once you kind of crack the code of being able to remove yourself from a wholesale deal, then you can now see, hey, what about a fix and flip? What about a buy and hold? So it's pretty amazing when you can put the pieces together. You can get into these deals, right, without using any of your own money, deals that you've never even stepped foot on, in cities that we haven't even visited. And so it's pretty much like an amazing opportunity, because you realize that the whole country is your buy box at the end of the day. So of course you need to have the right exit strategy in place. You need to get your ducks in a row, but it's pretty exciting just knowing that everything is really accessible through our laptops and through technology today. So it's really just an exciting place to be, and we've seen people even with full-time jobs just run with the system, and they're able to close deals in other markets. I know we had student Mustafa who was in Miami, who's closing deals in Jacksonville. We've had students, closing deals in Texas who also lived in Georgia. And, we've closed a handful of deals even just this past month in Denver, Colorado, where, I haven't even been there. I don't know about you, but
just the airport.
Just the airport for layovers.
Yeah.
So there's ways to scale. There's ways to do it. We've really talked about from the perspective of, like an individual who's looking to crack this code. But as you scale, right, as you continue to build your team, there's ways to do it to where, you're truly that entrepreneur, you're truly that business owner. Like in one of our companies, we've hired acquisitions managers who can actually run the whole process for us. So they're finding the leads, they're negotiating, they're handling the cash buyer relationships, that we hand off to them as well. So there's ways to really delegate a lot of the day-to-day and elevate yourself to really being that owner status and creating somewhat of a passive wholesaling business too. So so there's levels to real estate, right? There's levels to getting in this business. So in order to get there, you really want to master the fundamentals. And so really what we pride ourselves in teaching here is really the fundamentals, the timeless essentials of knowing how to find great deals, knowing how to analyze great deals, and then pursue them and have a profitable exit. Yeah, as I look back on my wholesaling career, virtual wholesaling has just been a huge part of how I've been able to scale, doing deals in over 12 states. I think it's closer to 15 now, whether for wholesaling, fixing and flipping houses, without using any of my own money, to buying and holding properties and even self-managing rentals that I still haven't seen. I haven't been to those markets. Even completely managing and producing passive income from a long distance. It's pretty reality shattering. When I look back and just see how working this process and really being a student of real estate has completely changed my life and has really opened up so many opportunities to grow professionally. Grown my net worth, but more importantly, has just given me the freedom and flexibility, to run my own businesses and to live the life that I really want to build for myself and for my family. And so it's really not just about real estate. It's not just about money and business. It's just about being able to live lives that we are proud of and that we can grow into and really challenge ourselves, to continue to aspire to be someone that we want to and living our best potential. So I think, for me as someone who came from the corporate world and really just felt trapped in a, kind of 9 to 9 career, not even 9 to 5, like 12-hour days, I always had an ambition and I always wanted to do something and I always wanted to apply myself and I always knew I was going to do something great, but I was always looking for something to do. And so when I found virtual wholesaling, when I found long distance real estate investing, when I realized that you can do this in other markets, right? Like we live in a relatively very expensive market, probably one of the most expensive markets in the country in San Diego, Southern California. The whole country is an opportunity to get in, more comfortable price points, different market fundamentals. And so I think just going all in on real estate allowed me to lean into something that helps me achieve my full potential, allows me to exercise that ambition and really scratch that entrepreneurial itch to continue to grow and challenge myself and really live my best life. And I've just been so fortunate to be your business partner, Alex, and just be inspired by you every day. We share this office together and just to be able to help other people, replicate what we've been doing for the past 10 plus years. And, one of the things that we like to say here at Real Estate Skills is leaving no one behind in wealth creation, right? Because, it's a big mission and we just see what real estate can do for us and for our students. And so we were just passionate about getting the word out there. And we know that other people can do it too, with the right model, with the right plan, and with the right process, really, and with the right team and education. So that's what we're here to help you guys with. And hopefully you got a lot of value out of today's video. And hope you guys stick around to watch more of our content. We're here to help you guys succeed in real estate, no matter where you want to take your businesses, because we know you have potential. We know you can do it too.
Awesome. Nailed it. All right, we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in the next video.